Hi guys, in this video I am going to explain what is a class. Before going into the main topic, let us revise about data types. There are two types of data types in Java. One is primitive, other one is non-primitive. Under primitive, you have all these data types. Under non-primitive, you have string, array and user-defined classes. By the end of this video, you should be able to understand what is a class. First, I am going to discuss about integer type of data types. Those are byte, short, int and long. Going into unsigned byte, as the name says, this particular data type will occupy 1 byte when I create a variable. Each byte consists of 8 bits and in each bit I can put a value 0 or 1. So the minimum value that I can place in a byte variable consists of 8 zeros, which is equal to decimal 0, and the maximum value I can put in a byte variable consists of 8 ones, which is equal to decimal 255. So the range of values that I can put in a byte variable are from 0 to 255. Total 256 values. 256 is nothing but 2 power 8. Here 2 is number of values, that is 0 and 1, and 8 is number of places. Going into signed byte, as we discussed in the previous video, the MSB is used for determining the sign of the number. Either the number is positive or negative, and remaining 7 bits are used for the magnitude or value. The positive numbers ranges from 0 to 127 and the negative numbers ranges from -1 to -128. Remember, negative numbers are stored in 2's complement form. So the range of signed byte is equal to -127 to 128, which is nothing but -2 power 7 to 2 power 7 minus 1. As there are 7 bits for storing the magnitude of the value, the range is from -2 power 7 to 2 power 7 minus 1. Let us see how assignment of a value works. First, I have to write data type space variable name. Data type defines the type of value that I am going to store, and variable actually stores the value. As soon as I write byte b, 1 byte space is allotted in the memory, that is RAM. And when I try to assign some value, b is equal to 125, that particular variable gets the value 125. And if I try to change the value, b is equal to -67, the 125 is replaced with 67. If I try to put any value which is out of the range of byte, then that particular variable will not accept the value. Here -579 is out of the range of byte. If you want to assign any value which is outside the range of byte, you need to choose another data types. Those are short, int and long. Short has 2 bytes, int occupies 4 bytes and long occupies 8 bytes. And according to the number of bits each data type occupies, the range of that particular data type varies. Here I have written ranges of signed data types. You should be able to identify the range of unsigned data types. Moving on to floating point data types, we have two data types which can store floating point numbers. Floating point numbers are nothing but the decimal numbers, the numbers which are having decimal point in that. For example, 1.2 -8.9, any of those values which are having decimal point in it can be stored by using these data types, float and double. Float occupies 4 bytes and double occupies 8 bytes. In float, after the decimal point, I will be able to store 6 to 7 digits. In double, I will be able to store 15 digits after the decimal point, which means double will give me more precision than float. Going on to next data type, that is boolean. A boolean variable will be able to store either of these two values, either true or false, and that requires only 1 bit, 1 for true and 0 for false. And then we are having char data type, the last primitive data type. Char means character data type. This particular variable will be able to store 1 character. Character in the sense, it can be a digit, it can be a letter in alphabet or any other character. which is graphical character or non-graphical characters also. Here ends our primitive data types. Let us go on to non-primitive data types or reference data types. Let us see how array works. This is how I declare an array. The same way as we declaring variable, I'll declare it by using the data type space variable name and then followed with two square brackets, opening square bracket and closing square bracket. As soon as I write int s square brackets, a variable is created and it points towards the null. When I say reference data types, those won't store the data directly. These reference data types will point towards the data. Here I declared the array, but I didn't create the array yet. So the variable is pointing towards null. In order to create the data, I need to write s is equal to new int and then size of the array that I need. As soon as I write this particular statement, an array is created which can store 4 integer values and the variable s starts pointing towards that particular array. In order to access the values of an array, I need to use the index of the array. Indexing in an array starts from 0 to length minus 1. So in order to access the first integer, I need to use s of 0, then s of 1, s of 2, s of 3. Hope you understood how to access elements of an array. Here we are concentrating on how to access a value in array. Moving on to next topic, that is structure. This particular structure topic I am taking from C language because the concept of structure is not available in Java. We know the limitations of an array. In an array, I will be able to store multiple values, but all the values should be of same data type. If I want to store values of different data types as a single unit, I need to use this structure. This is how I create a structure by using the keyword struct and then structure name. Inside the structure, I need to write what are the variables I need to access. Of course, this is the same as declaring variables. Here I am writing two variables, int book id and char book letter. This is just definition of structure. I am saying to the compiler that I need a unit of memory which can store one integer and one character. Then how will we create an actual structure? By writing this particular statement, books b1. This is same like writing data type and then variable. Here books is the user defined data type. Because structure is a user defined data type, I am writing books b1. As soon as I write books b1, a unit of memory is created. The first part can store integer because I wrote int here, and the second part can store character because I wrote char here. In order to write any value in this integer variable, I need to refer to this particular object. Here b1 is called object. We should not call it as variable because books is not a data type. Books is structure. So in order to write any value in this particular integer variable, that is book id, I need to use b1. So b1 dot book id is equal to 1. So 1 is copied into this variable and then b1 dot book letter is equal to c and then c is copied into this particular variable. Remember, we will not be able to access book id or book letter without the help of b1. If you understood the structure properly, let us move on to class. Class is an extension of structure. Just now we saw in structure I will be able to create any number of variables of different types. As I said, class is an extension of structure. In a class I can declare not only variables but also methods. So the class object can use these variables and these methods. Let us see how a class is represented. A class is represented with a rectangular block which is divided into three parts. The first part consists of class name and second part consists of variables. Variables we call them as data members and then methods. In order to create an object of class, I need to write this statement, class name and then object name, whatever I want to create. Class name and then object name is equal to new keyword, the same keyword which we use to create an array, followed by class name and two brackets. So if you write this statement, an object is created. If you simply write books b1, then b1 will be the name reserved for the object of books class. And when I write new books, the actual object is created. In order to access the data members or variables of class, I need to use the object. So I will write b1.bookid, and in order to call these functions or methods, I need to write b1.method. Hope you understood what is a class. A class is a blueprint that defines the variables and the methods common to all objects of that particular kind. So how many ever objects you want to create, you can create those many objects of this particular class, and you will be having all these data members and methods for each and every object. I will show you two examples of classes that are existing in Java. The first one is integer. Integer is a class which consists of few data members and methods. Here I am showing only two. One is min value and the other one is max value. And there are few methods also, but here I am showing only two. And there is one more class, string class. If you remember at the starting of video, I told you array, string and class are non-primitive data types. So string is a class which is a non-primitive data type. The string also contains few data members and data methods, but here I am showing you only few for reference. Hope you understood what is a class. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, please leave those in the comment section. Thank you.